Okay, so I've been working again, web developer, web designer since 2004. I founded Chris and Friends, which is a Web2 web design agency in Berlin with 25 people. We're serving customers all over Germany, building technically anything that works on your phone, on your laptops. We're building web shops, websites, online shops, content production, and we started this in 2010. So I've been around the web thing around for a while, and in 2021 we started the NFT Lab Berlin. With the NFT Lab Berlin, we're trying to get our Web2 customers into Web3 using NFT technology. This way? Yes. I'm going to keep this very, very quick. Oops. Okay, I'm going to keep this very, very quick because I think most people that are here right now, they know where the Web3 comes from. However, I'm just going to scratch the surface real quick to get an idea of the bigger picture. We used to have something called Web 1 from the 1970s until, around 2000. It was the type of internet that was simply static. By static, I mean all you do as an internet user is absorbing information. Then there was something called Web 2, started around the 2000s when we had something called the .com bubble. It's called the interactive internet, where you then interact with the media. You educate yourself, you share stuff, you like stuff, you book your next vacation, and so on. Then blockchain didn't come up in 2020, obviously. It came up much, much earlier. However, it might have become famous or hyped around the 2020s. It gives a completely new something we can do with the internet, and it's not just digital ownership, NFTs, it's also DeFi and many, many other things. There are Web3 phones coming out from Saga, Solana, for example. So there's a lot new stuff happening. We're going to focus on digital ownership, NFTs. So if you want to onboard your brand or your business into Web3 using an NFT community, I'm going to explain to you real quick what actually is an NFT community. So an NFT community, or people are inside an NFT community, we call them Web3 natives. Those are the guys that already own NFTs, that already set up a wallet, that have access to multiple blockchains already, and last but not least, the guys that can trade your NFTs on a marketplace. Because face it, if you're a Web2 brand at the moment, none of your customers really know how to handle your digital assets, right? So what you should do, you want to get in one of these communities where you will find the Web3 native people. This is where the market is, and this is where you want to drop your digital asset to. So I'm going to give you an example now how a famous fashion brand entered Web3 in 2021 without a community. We're going to look at the numbers, and after this I'm going to show you an example, the same brand doing the same thing 1 year later using an NFT community with a completely different outcome, and I'm going to show you how they did that. So the brand we're talking about is a huge fashion brand, right? The use case, so they dropped an NFT in 2021, very, very simple use case. One NFT equal one limited product that you can order, or that you can order if you prove that you have the NFT in your wallet. What happened in 2021 was this huge fashion brand having a total amount of owners 5, having a total amount of NFTs traded 16. For those who don't know, if you have an NFT digital asset on a marketplace, whenever this gets traded, you as a creator will get a fraction of that into your wallet. So if you are a tier 1 fashion brand and your total amount of owners in Web3 is 5, it's been traded 16 times, and the last time your NFT was traded over 460 days ago, plus the total amount of income on the smart contract is roughly 300 euros, I think we can say that this is not a very successful NFT drop, right? Especially according to the fact that you're actually a big fashion brand. So, the same brand creating a second NFT collection, 1 year later, completely different numbers. Before we're going to focus on the numbers, what changed was also the use case. This same fashion brand no longer dropped an NFT collection where one NFT equals one physical product. They now dropped an NFT collection where one NFT means 10% discount in the online shop. This is one thing. The second thing, as you may have realized, the visual layer has changed. In the European continent, we would say that this looks kind of childish, cartoonish, whatever. This NFT drop was created for the Asian market, especially for Singapore. And in this Asian market, this kind of design actually works pretty well. Now, if we focus on the numbers that we see here, all of a sudden, we no longer have 5 owners, we have over 1,000 owners. The amount of total trades of this NFT collection is no longer 16, it's roughly 2,500, and the last time our NFTs was traded is no longer 1.5 years ago, it's around 25 minutes ago. And if you look at the total amount of income of this, or the total trading volume of this smart contract, we're roughly around 1 million. So if we compare the first time we entered the NFT space, doing it by ourselves, and the second time, the outcome obviously is completely different. Now when we look at this, the question is, how did they do that? How did they come from the first NFT drop, low numbers, pretty much no income, to the second NFT drop with much, much higher numbers? If you have a brand, if you have a business, and you want to bring your digital assets into Web3, you must partner with an active NFT community to bridge your brand into Web3. And this sentence actually is not 100% correct, because you must partner with should actually mean you must give value to. So if you want to bridge your brand into Web3, you should give value to an existing NFT community that is already in Web3. Now the question is, how do you do that? How do you give value to an NFT community? I'm going to show you how the brand that we were using in this example did it. So remember, this is the NFT collection, this is the visual layer, the use case, super simple. If you own one, it's a 10% discount in the online shop. Again, super simple use case. Now if you remember before at the very beginning when I showed you the NFT communities existing in the space, this is exactly what our brand did here. They were going out there and looking for an active NFT community. In this case, it wasn't called Doodles, it wasn't called Bored Apes, it wasn't called Azuki. In this case, it was called Imaginary Ones. And those were already roughly 9,000 NFT holders. Again, 9,000 Web3 native people already having an NFT, having set up a wallet, knowing how to handle a smart contract. Last but not least, trading your NFT on the marketplaces, and this is something very important as well, being super active on the Web3 social media. And the Web3 social media, as most people know here, is mostly Twitter. We're having, it's hard to read though, we're having roughly half a million Twitter followers and 50,000 active people on Discord. So this is the bubble. This is the circle where you want to bring your digital asset, your digital value into in order to get foot into Web3. This is exactly what they did. So they took the entire collection, they split it into two, they made it public, like on Twitter and all the social media, saying, okay, this fashion brand is now partnering with this NFT community. Again, the guys that are already in Web3, and they gave 50%, that's very important. You don't want to give your entire value to this Web3 world. You got to keep something for yourself. You got to keep something for your existing customers already. And this is exactly what they did. They kept 50% for the existing customers using existing Web2 techniques. You will need them. That's super important. So existing Web2 techniques means whatever you have, Instagram, TikTok. If you have an email list, you can use that. But what's really important here is actually the other half. The other half, again, those are the guys already in Web3. So what happened here was, once they announced this partnership, those numbers are actually for Meltwater. It's like you can scan the entire social media about your brand. The brand awareness, rocket science. The exact same brand has now almost 1,000% more awareness in Web3 than they had before. That's really cool. Like, there was no way this brand could have done this without the community. And it ended up in an NFT collection being completely sold out on launch day in less than 2 hours. And again, if we look on the numbers of the total amount of trades, this is really a completely different approach to the first one. So if there's one takeaway from this little presentation, if you want to drop something in Web3, if you want to create a digital asset, don't just do it for the sake of doing it, because the technology itself will not make you succeed in Web3. You must have some sort of strategy, and it's super important to understand that it's not just NFTs though, it's DeFi, it's a lot of things. These digital values in Web3, they always circle around communities. It's super important. And if you do this, if you follow this strategy, you're actually in really good company. Because there's so many brands out there, the ones that were successful, I'm not listing the unsuccessful ones, that wouldn't be fair, but the ones that were successful in Web3, they all did the same. And one of my favorite examples though is here. In this case, it's Adidas. They were one of the very first one, over 1.5 years ago, understanding that if they want to bring value into Web3 and grow in Web3, they must partner with an existing NFT community. That's actually a rhyme. And they just did the exact same thing a week ago, and just now partnering with another NFT community called Doodles. So to me, this is a perfect example that again shows if you want to do something in Web3, you want to grow in Web3, you must have the community. And if you don't have it right now, it's super hard to build it in Web2, because again, these people have no clue probably how to use Web3 digital assets. But these guys in the communities, they do know that. That's it. If you have any questions,
thank you.
Anytime.
Thank you, Chris.
If we have time, I have no idea. We probably have enough time. Do we have time for questions? If someone has a question,
I will deal with it.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thank you, Chris. You gave an amazing talk, and I think we have some time left for 1 or 2 questions from the audience. So now you have the chance. Is anyone willing to ask a question? Yes, Nelson, please. Can someone bring him a microphone so he can ask his questions? Or maybe let's do it like that.
Thank you, Chris. I want to ask, from NFT mechanics, mostly talking about game mechanics, is there any game mechanic or gamification mechanic that you actually like, that you think is wow?
Du bist also in der Zeit zurückgereist?
So I gotta be honest here, like it's very obvious that like ownership on Web3 is a thing for the gaming industry. Like I think everyone who is in the industry knows that. I'm personally not super into gaming, so I'm afraid I couldn't really give you an honest answer here. But again, NFTs, digital assets, ownership in the gamification is a huge thing. That's the only answer I can give right now. I couldn't give you an example because again, I'm not really with my company. We don't really work with the gaming industry so far.
1,5 minutes.
So I'd rather be honest and just say anything, you know.
Wenn ich deinen Namen sage, kannst du draufkommen.
Anything else? Leo? Thank you.
All right, we have actually room for another question, but that's a question I will ask you. Would you be able to join the panel later on?
Sure.
Perfect. Then we have a deal. Great.